roster image or what's called a bitmap image in Coreldraw and how to do some fades and things. So in the class, what we've covered so far is we've covered how to set up your desktop, and I do use different uh, desktops depending on what it is that I'm doing. And I actually use about 3 different desktops. And so I have a page set up for dye sublimation, simulated process, and for my process steps. Those will be available to all of you guys who are taking the class today. So those are available to you guys. And those of you guys who are on YouTube, you can go in, set your desktop up the way that I have mine set up. I may end up putting this on my site at a later time. I'll kind of explain it to you. The way I set up the desktop, we've already explained it in class, but the way that your desktop is set up really helps you speed up on work. So for example, for me, up top here across the top bar, I have all of my Pantone colors. Over on the side, these are going to be all set at 100%. And this is the Gildan color palette that I sell. And I also have a RGB plate over here, but the RGB colors are set at 100% density. And the reason that you want to have those set at 100% is so that when you go in to do your steps, everything is perfectly set. Do have a little few desktop customizations, so for my text and whatnot up here, and then down here at the bottom we have the toolbar here with our document palette and a few customizations over here. So everything's pretty fully customized and ready for me to work. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull in the image that um, we have to separate today. This image was sent in by, I believe, it's Mike, but I want to make sure. So I don't want to say it was sent in by the wrong person. So this is the actual image that he sent in. And gonna go in, and you guys may not be able to see it now because my screen is not recording. So I'm going to, whoop, I'll be right back. Let me figure out how to get that image over into Corel so that the people on YouTube can see. There we go. Okay. So this is the image that opened up in Corel. There are a few things that we do, and this is the reason why I have you set your desktop up a certain way. The tabs that we have up top, these are in order of how you're going to color separate this image. So the first thing I do when I bring in an image is I go to this tab, Resample Bitmap. You want to resample your bitmap, up your resolution to 300. Okay. And then you want to make it the size that you want to print it at. So for this image, I'm just going to make it 10.5, and I'm going to click OK. That just kind of raised that image, the resolution up on that image. If I want to brighten this image, I would open up Bright. So now watch and notice that each one of these tabs that are set up here custom, if you leave the class and you forget, all you have to do is just hit those tabs. It's going to kind of remind you. So you can go in, and if you want to do any type of brightness or contrast, you can do that. Contrast is really good because what contrast will do is brighten up any little specks and things like that that could be in your artwork. So let's go in and play around with that. And normally mine's is already set, so it's not really too much to do. So we go in, we set any type of brightness that we need, and now we're ready to convert this over to a bitmap. So I'm going to look at it and see what it is. I always want this to be checked here, Balancing and transparent background, keep it at 300. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to convert this over to a CMYK image. Okay, I'm going to convert it over to a CMYK. And then after I convert it over to a CMYK, I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate this image. And then this second image, I actually could have just converted one over for CMYK and one over for my black. I'm sorry, one over for left one as RGB. So we'll go back and we'll just go back and put this one right here as RGB. Actually, we can leave it. We can just leave it. I like to work with one as CMYK and one as RGB, but it really doesn't matter. It's a matter of preference. So let me just leave that alone. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to just take this one and put it over to the side. Come in here and go to fit. This color here, I think we're going to have about 3 streams. So let's just duplicate it one more time. And then I like to have one more just so that I have the original. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is going to go back to my tabs. I've already done convert to bitmap. Now I'm going to do a tone curve. On my tone curve, I want to remove all the color except for black. And this is how I'm going to get my black channel. Now, there are ways that you can do this in Photo Paint also, which is very, very accurate. But a lot of people just have Corel, so I'm going to teach you how to do it in Corel, and then maybe we'll go into Photo Paint and also do it. I want you to notice that as we change these colors here, you notice now that we have nothing but yellow and black as we remove the colors. And I want you to be aware of that because we're actually doing a CMYK set right here, which is going to be a lot different from us just pulling this yellow and this red here. So keep that in mind. We need to pull this yellow. And so when you're pulling it, we're just going to bring it straight down. Sometimes you may want to just use this straight. Change this to straight, and that'll help you keep that really straight. So we just took out all of the color out of that, and the only thing we have in there is the black. Now, when you get to do this, this is going to be a little bit more difficult. We can't go in on this one and just, let's say if we wanted the cyan and the magenta, I'll show you. Go in here and we can pull the black and we can pull the cyan, which there is none. There is no blue. So now you're left with 2 colors here. You're just left with the 2 colors. Okay. At this point, what most people would do is try to go in and say, okay, let me pull the yellow. And then you're just left with magenta. You can't do that. So at this point is where you need to stop. So we've got these 2 colors pulled. Now, I was showing you how I pull it in, how I make it into RGB, and I'll show you both steps. Basically, it's going to be the same. Well, let's take this one, and let's delete that. And then let's just do Control D to duplicate. Get to learn your shortcut keys. So Control D and duplicate. Now you see that white back there because we've pulled everything and it still has that white, but that's not going to matter because that's not going to come out on the films, okay? So this one is a CMYK. I'm just going to put that on there up top so that you guys who are watching the video will know. And this image is going to be a RGB. and we haven't converted it yet, but we're going to go back and convert it. So we're going to take this image and we're going to convert this back over into the RGB plate. So now that that image is into the RGB plate, now we want to go to our next tool, which is going to be what we call HSL, which is hue, saturation, and lightness. And let's do this one. Let's click on that. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to click on the red channel, and we're going to take it all the way to 100%. Okay? We can do this all the way to 100%. Oh, sorry. Forgot to click on. So we've got that, and we've got it. Let me go back. Let me reset that. We've got the red. This one doesn't have a lot of color in it, so we've got the red. We're going to take the lightness over to 100%. A lot of people think this is a hard job to separate, but it's actually very, very easy. There's our yellow. And then, oh, I need to make a copy of that for my CMYK, because I'm going to need my yellow channel also. I'll have that under there. So I've got on the master channel, and I could do this by leaving this on master channel, and well, no, you can't. Just go into the red, take all of that off. Okay, let's go. Okay. Now you're going to notice that you're going to see a little bit of this, which is going to look like it's magenta, but it's really that yellow still mixing in there. Okay, in that design, where that design has a little bit of yellow and white up in it. Okay, so I'm going to go back here just to show you. If we want to take the same thing and you hit this yellow, now you're pulling the yellow out, and you would just keep going. You don't want to do that. Okay, some people will go in and they'll hit that, and they'll go in and they'll try to pull those other colors just to make sure that there's nothing in there, and that's fine. We can go in there, and if we had a bunch of other colors in this, we would do that. We would go here and pull out anything, but because I've been doing this for a while, I know that even though we do this, we're still gonna see that little area. So I'm just going in and kind of pulling everything just to show you if we had a bunch of other colors in here, what we would do. It was unnecessary for this job, but you know, hey. So we've got our yellow, and now we need the red. So I'm going to go here to hue saturation. I'll take this yellow, take the yellow, and make the yellow all the way at 100%, and now I've got my red. And that's it. That job is color separated. Now let's go in, just for the sake of doing it, to see if you see any difference in doing it as an RGB. Red. Delete that color out. That's the RGB. Okay, which is the same exact thing. Some people swear it really isn't, but it's pretty much the same, regardless of how you do it. So I'm going to show you. Put a white background here just to kind of show you, so you can decide which way you'd like to do this. Here I need to order that to the back, and order that to the back of the page. Kind of zoom in here so that you can see the way it sets. Set's basically the same. Now in RGB, you still see that right there. That's the difference in the steps. Okay, let me go back to fit. So this design is actually separated and ready to go. So at this point, what I would do, well, here we go. So we got our yellow, we've got our black, our red, and then we've got our black. At this point, I would go in, select all of this, and bring it down. I need to bring it to the center. I'm going to bring this one to the center. I would create pages. That's page 2. Our center page 2. Create another page. That's page 3. I'd center page 3. And then I put my registration marks on here. And I run this through my RIP software. Okay. There are going to be times, and all of you guys do have AccuRip, or let's say if you don't have a RIP software, or if you wanted to see how this design will uh, look, or if you need to print it uh, through, just print it out in Coreldraw in halftones. At that point, you would go in, and this first one here would be a very easy, would be very easy to turn into halftones. First print here. Oh, you know what, guys? And we have a white there, so we would actually have to go in and do a white underbase for this design. And I'll show you guys that. Um, but we've got this here, and we can go up here. Okay, let me think, what were we doing? Oh, okay, we've got a halftone this. So we've got this, and we can go up here to mode, or you can go here if you need to invert it. We're going to go up here, and that's their channel mixer, inverter. Yeah, I want to go up here, and I want to go to mode, and I will go into black and white, and then I would take this and do halftones, 25 degrees, 45 LPI. Some do 22. We're going to do 25 for today. Corel does not render very well at all when you're doing halftones. Now I'm going to take this over and kind of show you this here. And if I want to remove this, I could right click there, and now I've just got just those areas of black ink that I'm going to print on here. We'll actually print this out so that I can show you guys, because Corel does actually do a terrible job at rendering a halftone image. We're going to do, and since we're going to do that, let's just go ahead and halftone this. Go over into mode, and we'll do the same thing at 45. Got that, and I'll remove that front. Now, at this point, you would print this like this, but, and I'll show you actually what the steps will look like, because again, like I said, Corel does a terrible job. I'd recommend for everyone to have a RIP to where once you do your steps, you can just put it in there and print them out and not worry about it. But if you've got to do it like this, then you do. This is the baker's is the red, and I'm just gonna oh, hit a red up here, and since I don't know what red it is, let's remove that. Let's right click that and make that red. I'm not sure exactly what red that is. Pantone Warm C. We normally use this one. So let's do that. And then let's do the same thing. Let's go in, and you could also, well, no, you don't want to convert that to grayscale. I thought we had black and white up there, but I don't. You could put a little black and white icon there so you can do that real fast. So you can go in and change your modes. Do that at 45. And let's just do this yellow here. Now, normally when I do my yellows in Corel, because you see how terrible those halftones look, but I'm going to show you something. I'm going to go with copy, paste this into one, edit, paste, and then we're going to go to 2, edit, copy, and paste that into one, edit, B. Now, you can kind of somewhat get an idea of what this is going to look like once you print it. So center that, put the red on top of it, and normally I'll end up duplicating my yellow when I do it. Just going to center all of this up, and then center that, and this should be our steps. Now, granted, it looks terrible, but I promise you, it'll look fine when you print it. It'll be great. Let's just go in and take this, put that up there, and let's try to put that down there if we can. And I'm going to try to give you try to take this out and bring it in as a, save it as a PNG, as a PDF, and hopefully I can get this view back on screen. PDF, and let's just call it, save it on the desktop, and we'll call it test. Now my recorder is only recording Corel, so I've got to figure out how I'm going to show this to the people who are watching. So guys, give us just a second, and I'm going to try to open up the file, and I'm not sure that it's going to show on